Hi everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. We're about a month or two into the quarantine, stay at home. Everybody's got to stay at home, stay safe, practice social distancing. So I was thinking, and I thought, wow, you know, I've always had this fear of the camera and doing videos and stuff like that, but I've wanted to do this channel for like the longest time. Well over 2 years I wanted to do this channel. And I am actually decided that seeing as I have well over 80 speaking engagements with people in person, I should do the same with videos. So I've actually decided on a new goal. My new goal is to do 100 videos. 100 videos. I haven't set a timeline on it. I don't think I want to. I think just 100 videos. I want to do 100 videos. And I'm sure I can accomplish that. I know I can. And I want to. And I think it's going to help me to grow exponentially, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. All the four quadrants of the medicine wheel, right? It's going to help me to conquer my fear of the camera and doing videos. So this is kind of like, you throw them in the fire and you're going to learn that way. Throw them off the cliff and you got to learn how to fly on the way down. That's the idea. I heard that. Anyways, that's another story for another time. So I want to be able to do a video with my story. I think it's important. I did a video last week with my story. It was about an hour long. And when I went to upload it, YouTube said your video was too long. You can only do 15 minutes unless I chop it up and break it up. So I rewatched the videos. See, that's the thing that usually when I make a video, I'll just upload it right away. I won't watch it or critique it because it's hard for me. I'm sure a lot of you can relate with that as well. But I ended up watching it first last night, and then I was like, okay, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. This could be better. That could be better. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to restart the video, retell my story, and explain that effect. So I'm going to share my story. It may be in half an hour. It may be 45 minutes. It may be an hour. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. But however long it is, this video will be broken down into parts accordingly. 15-minute max parts, right? So that's how we're going to do it. And that's how we'll be doing videos in the future from now on. If it's under 15 minutes, that's fine. It'll be by itself. If it's more than 15, it'll be part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, so on and so forth. Aha, comprehend? Oui, oui. S'il vous plaît. Okay, so let us start. I think it's important that everybody, as a motivational speaker, shares your story. People have to be able to know your story. Who are you? What have you overcome? What obstacles and hardships have you faced and not been defeated by, or even have been defeated by, but have overcome and learned to grow? It's like the phoenix, right? The phoenix, right before it touches the ground. The phoenix. There we go. So I'll share a little bit about my story. And every time I share my story, I was telling my friend, it's always different. I always hit on different things. I admit different things. I just go with the flow. It's not that I'm changing the story or lying about certain parts of my story. That's not what I do. Credibility is very important to me. Every part of my story, every time I share, know it to be the truth, because it is. I don't have time to sit here and fill the world with lies. That's not my goal here. My goal is to make the world a better, more honest, loving, caring place. And if I can use my education coupled with my life experience to help, then that's a miracle, man, for sure. Alright, so I was born August 82, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. My parents were, not doing well at the time. They were suffering through their own addictions and their own heartaches. So they didn't really have the proper, they weren't providing the proper care for my sisters and I. So, my earliest memory is being locked in the bedroom with my older sister Heidi, and I'm trying to knock at the bedroom window with the toy hammer trying to get us out. And I wasn't able to get us out that day, and there were many days spent in that bedroom, locked, alone, neglected, and abandoned. And that's just my earliest memory. I know that there was abuse. My sister shared with me that there was some abuse in our life. So at age 5, I ended up going into foster care. I was apprehended by social services from my family and placed with the white family. And I was in this foster home for 7 years with my younger sister. And that's when I really started to know that I was different. I wasn't, the places, the faces, the language, even though they're speaking English, it was just foreign to me. The way how they carried themselves, the way they acted, it was just all really foreign to me, and I didn't know what was going on. The social workers or the parents, nobody sat me down as a child to explain, okay, now this is what's going on, this is what's happening. Nobody did that. As I'm a student today at the First Nations University of Canada studying Indigenous social work, I have learned from that experience, and if I ever talk to a child in the future, I will be sure to explain to them what's going on with them and their parents in their life the best way that I can for them to understand. I think that's fair, and I think that's important. That was never done for me, so I learned from that. It's important to learn from the experiences that we go through and not make the same mistakes. So I spent time in foster home, and I wasn't getting the proper love, nurturing, caring that every child deserves to have. I had clothing, I had a roof, and I had food in my mouth, but that love, the respect, all those things just wasn't there like that. I was the Indian foster kid, my sister and I. The people we stayed with, they'd have relatives come over and visit, and they'd point at us and they'd say, who are those Indian kids? And they'd say, oh, those are just the Indian foster kids. Oh, okay, foster kids. It's become apparent to me now that we were there for them to collect a check. They were having financial difficulties and they needed help, and this was like an option for them. They did help us, they took care of us, and I'm grateful to them for that. But there was also things that could have been better. When I went to school in elementary in grade 1, I was acting out at school. I was getting into a lot of fights. I wasn't listening to the teachers because of the things that were going on in my life. I was getting picked on, bullied, discriminated. I was being called racist names before I knew what these names meant. And so I was acting out. The teachers see that. They point at me and say, this child suffers. This child is suffering from some kind of a mental issue. He needs a special class. So that's what they did. They put me in a special class by myself. And the other kids would walk by and they'd point and they'd laugh and they'd say, little stupid Indian foster kid. And, I was just taking these things in and I wasn't feeling good about myself. I was a no good Indian. I didn't have my own family. My family didn't want me. Just all these things were being drilled into me day after day after day. And my self-esteem was really eroding and going lower and lower, and I just didn't feel good about myself. So 7 years I was in this foster home in that kind of environment. By the time I went to my auntie in my early teens, I was hurting inside. There was a lot of pain here from having to go through the things that I went through. Why weren't my parents there? Why didn't they want me? Why did I have to grow up in foster care? These are questions that I was asking myself as a child. And, children do that. Even though they're not responsible, they still have a tendency to blame themselves. And that's what I was doing. I just didn't have the understanding at that time. So I started running away from home because my auntie was raised in residential school. She's, disciplining us the way she knew how. Yelling and physical, using the belt, wooden spoon, stuff like that, and just wasn't working for me. We're clashing a lot, so much so that I left. I ran away from home. And I was spending a lot of time with my friends. We started smoking, we started drinking, we started doing drugs, all that stuff, and started getting into trouble. And these things are not free, they cost money, so I started stealing. And then I ended up finding myself in handcuffs. Age 13, I went to jail for the first time in Regina at the Paul Dojak Youth Center, which is closed custody for youth over there. And that's where I was. So I went into jail. I was scared at first. I wasn't sure what to expect. But I realized a lot of the guys who are in jail are just like me. They've suffered from a lot of the same things that I've suffered from. And they were like, joining their own little cliques. They had their own little groups. See, I tell people when I was growing up, there wasn't no positive native role model saying, come this way, young man, come do this. There was none of that. There was only the gangsters and the thugs and the thieves and alcoholics. They said, come here, little homie. Yeah, we got you. We'll show you love. Come here, man. So it was easy for me to go that way, right? It's easy. So, life with drugs and alcohol, addictions. Over 20 years I've suffered with addictions. And it was hard. It's been a hard life. I was a member of a major gang for over 12 years in Regina. And, it's just the hardships of life. They really break you down. Once you start losing hope and feeling like no one is there, no one cares about you, you really just go into this low down, deep, dark place. And you just want to, as humans, we have this need to be connected, this need to be accepted and valued. And I wasn't getting that, so I thought I'd find that in the game. And strangely enough, in some ways, I did find that, but, not the right way, but I still found it for myself. And I think a lot of our youth are following in the same footsteps today, and they're taking that path. So that's why I've kind of tried to dedicate my life to helping guide people away from that and guide them to the light. Show them that's not the way you want to go. I've went that way. I've tried that. It's not the way. You want to go this way. It's so much better. Life is so much more beautiful this way.